The God that they say that they worship is the God that they love the most. And whatever you love the most, that becomes your God. I said that because some people, I say some people, believe that God is the gun. So God has become the gun to these people. They swear by it. They say we love Jesus, and we love all the things Jesus brings forth, but we love that gun even more. So God becomes whatever, as I said, whatever we love the most. God becomes your woman. God becomes your automobile. God becomes your house. God becomes whatever you worship the most. Everybody claims to have religion in their minds, but the Rasul, and we should be grateful to this, has explained to us that religion in itself is too weak to solve our problems. It is too weak. It is too weak simply because it has too many holes in it, highs and lows in it. It all depends on which way the speaker is bringing forth this message. Whether it used to be fireball, they used to talk about going to hell and burning up in hell for eternity and all the things. So these things are on my mind. And I tried to find something that was in reference to that I wanted to bring. Also, there was a lesson that I want to speak about that we had never discussed before. And it's something that we're all victims of. People have tried to define it. People have tried to find a solution for it, only to throw their hands up and say we don't have the solution. And that was, how do we deal with sex? That is one subject that's basically has been a taboo as far as we are concerned. I'm not coming on trying to tell you what your sexual likes or dislikes are. But I'm trying to explain, you have to remember, this is a classroom. This is a classroom, just like any university. This is a classroom. And our purpose here is to teach. Is to teach and enlighten. To tell you what a thing is. Keep that in mind. We try to tell you what a thing is. What it is. Not necessarily how it's used, but what it is. And in doing so, find out the origin of that. So we'll start out the first part of our lesson today. As I said, let me get this out of the way. This is taken from the first chapter of Harmony Gospel. And it's spoken of that this book will make you as wise as any man. This book will enlighten you. It is the key to all Bibles. Now, let's delve into finding out how it is the key to all Bibles. It is the explanation to all the Bibles. Similarly, Mihiru Amun Ra. In the name of Lelachira, the highest truth, our understanding Rasul, the first Amun Ra, who was again made known in the image of man, the first prophet, and interpreter of dreams and visions. The first line in the Muhammad Gospel tells us, it makes reference, know ye that the Son himself was in ancient days called a man, the man above, the Son of Man, or the Son Man, and the name man has many times been used for God. The Rasul taught mankind, as we are today, that the idea of God was born among our ancestors. A broad definition. Think about it. The Rasul brought to us, taught to us, mankind, as we are today, that the idea of God was first born among our ancestors. That's the distinction that we have. It's something that we can be proud of. That we were the progenitors of the idea of God. The idea, the thought of God. Then God is the embodying form of a person, which is a real likeness or representation of the forces throughout the universe at work. And God is also an embodiment of the essential nature or character of the quality which exists in the individual, whether it be animal or person, and make it symbolic or conception. The idea of God being born among our ancestors, behold, this new created world. Out of him comes all religions and conceptions of God unto all mankind. From this sprung gods and goddesses among all the nations around the Torah zone that built the earth, which was an addition to their empire, how it showed, as it is showing as of now. The birth of God among your ancestors, we're still trying to define this idea, was an arch pattern, an idea which today is existing as an archetype idea. Out of him comes all religions, ideas, and conceptions of a God, which means all of these gods people are professing to follow today came from you. They are worshiping your concept, your idea of this God. For this information, read Revelations 3:14. Unto the church of the Laodiceans write these things, saith the Amen, the true and faithful witness to the creation of God, which meant before then there was no God. There was no God. We have the distinction here at our temple here to be able to disseminate some of the information that history has yet, to a certain extent, been able to record. We talk about a people who lived here on this earth long before you had religion. And it's difficult for us to think back to when people did not have a religion. Yeah. But if you stop and think, the pyramids have been here for thousands and thousands of years, long before there was something called religion. The birth of God among your ancestors was an arch pattern, I repeat. An idea which today is existing as an archetype idea. Out of him comes all religions, ideas, and conceptions of a God. Christ is Ra, and Ra is the surname of Amun. Blessed be the name of Amun-Ra, manifested in the image of our Rasul, Selah. My second subject is entitled Sex Symbols in Religion. Sex symbols in religion. Think, put on your thinking caps. The lesson starts out, many of the symbols that are retained in modern religions were originally drawn from the sex organ. Did you know that? From sexual processes or from concepts based on sex and its manifestations. Some of these symbols signified the male, some the female, and some were conventional representation of human cultus. The fish was an ancient symbol of the life power or life source, conceived as a female. Pisces symbol. The tree represented female divinity, so the tree trunk became the pillar symbol of a goddess. The cross was referred to as the tree and still is described in Christian hymns. We had a conversation with a person here in the building who was a Bible scholar, and the question came up, did Yusuf, called Jesus, die on the cross? And they said yes, he died on the cross. Why? Because we saw it here in the book. We took them to another paragraph in the same book where it spoke of a man called Yusuf, or a man called Jesus, hung on a tree. Now, which do we believe? Did he die on the cross, or did he die on a tree? Was he hanged on a tree? Because the misconception that has been fostered upon our minds was this man of sorrow died on this cross and he rose and blah, 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 blah. Some of the lies that we have been told over and over and over again. But now these lies are coming back to haunt these people. They can't explain them. They cannot explain how a man can die and then be born again. The concept is, if he's dead, he is dead. The dead don't get up. If he is not dead, then he gets up. The cross, I say again, was referred to as a tree and still is so described in Christian hymns. Eventually, male pillars were introduced. The stable triangle with base down. And we see this symbol. Sheikh has it on his tarbush. The stable triangle, that is triangle with its base down, has been from ancient times a symbol of the male, and the triangle with one point down has been the conventional symbol of the female. So we find out that Sheikh on his tarbush has the symbol of both male and female, dealing with sex. These symbols been explained in various ways, but the simplest and most plausible explanation is that the design that is conventionally named the crux ansata on the wall, the cross with a handle, and also called the key of life, was an important religious symbol of poesis, or good luck, by persons unversed in Egyptian or Hamitic religious history. But we know that it was the symbol of the female considered as the source of life.
I'm dead.
The actual Egyptian or Hamite symbol of the union of the sexes was a conventionalized combination of the female pubic area with the male sex glands, which seem not to have become a religious symbol. This symbol, and if I had a board, I would be able to draw exactly what the lesson is implied. So I'll try to describe what it was. It is a bar with two balls on each side of it. You get the picture? Can you see the picture? A bar with two balls on it. Or it is a bar with two lines on the side, each side of it. Or it is a cross with the bar at the bottom of the cross. All of these are sex symbols. All of these are talking about the regenerated powers of sex. These symbols are named the masculine triad, the one that I just described. Men, women, and child, from which came the Joseph, Mary, and Jesus. As I said, we are trying to explain the origin of everything, thanks to the Rasul, peace be upon him. Because he said that we, as a people, we delve into the origin of a thing. We delve deep into the origin of the thing to find out what a thing is. Don't just take it for granted. Well, no, you delve into it and you find out what it is. You know how it works, but what is it? Although not all religious symbols are drawn from the realms of sex, the prevalence of such symbols and their transfer from one stage of religious development to another, and their persistence down to the present day, are unmistakable facts. All the ancient sex symbols, except the pillar, are employed in present-day Christianity, suitably representative of course. The persistence of sex symbols has confused many theories because they have confused the two common meanings of the word sex. Bahami above all. Symbolism is determined by the characteristic forms of the area of pubic hair in the two human sexes. We got young people here, and we won't go and be explicit in the explanation. But the adults, you can visualize this picture. You see the picture of the so-called V. You see the picture of the so-called V, the pubic area, symbolic. It is symbolized in all the symbols that we have in and around here. As I said, Sheikh is wearing one on his tata bush. The spear and the arrow are symbols of the male. We call it Sagittarius. The crescent moon was a symbol of the goddess Isis carrying her son Horus in the bend of her arm. The symbol of this virgin goddess, because of its suggestion of the unruptured hymen. You get me?
Yeah.
The unruptured hymen. We know exactly what that is. Look at Malik. I mean, he leaned over. wait. You can keep your ears open. The crescent, however, was employed as the symbol of mother goddesses, along with the circle and the pointed oval. There's a picture of a pyramid pointing down with the circle on top of it. As I said, if we had some kind of way, I would draw these things on the board for us. Combinations of the symbol of the two sexes suggest coitus produce some of the symbols of reproduction that are often called symbols of perfection. The employment of design drawn from sexual union as symbols of perfection develop from recognition of the incompleteness of the male and female organism or orgasm by themselves, and the knowledge that the union of a male and a female is necessary to form a complete orgasm capable of reproducing its kind. The two shall be one flesh. Ephesians 5th chapter, 31st verse of the King James Version. Among such symbols are the six-pointed star, formed by superimposing the male and the female triangle. Picture a star. One star or one pyramid is pointing down, and one pyramid is pointing up. It is a six-pointed star, symbolized. Superimposing the male and female triangles. And the first pointed star formed by superposing the arrowhead on the female triangle. That is, they were joined together. The combination of the two to form this six-pointed star. The six-pointed star must always be placed with one point down, and the five-pointed star must be placed with 2 points down, and the five-pointed star must be placed with 2 points down to agree with their symbolic value. In other words, we have two different pictures of the star. One is the six-pointed star, and then you have another star that has 2 points. 2 points at the bottom, 2 points at the top, 2 points on each side. Not all symbols of perfection are made in this simple way. The Tahgook, spelled Tahgook, if you want to look this word up. You can Google it. The Tahgook, which apparently originated in Southeastern Asia, is a conventionalized representation of two fish in the act of spawning. The mouth and eyes of the fish being sometimes represented. Appropriately, the Tahgook is sometimes said to symbolize the generative power in nature, while it otherwise symbolized perfection. Another symbol that we've seen quite a bit, we saw someone else take this symbol and use it for their own purpose in a destructive manner. The swastika, symbol of the wheel, that's what we say the swastika is the symbol of the wheel, which may have been religious, but today in India symbolizes good luck, is a symbol that has been formed on ancient coins and pottery from various parts of Asia and Europe. This symbol may have resulted from attempts to make simple linear or making use of lines, designs, but it may in other areas have been intended to represent the primitive position of the male and female in good luck position, which are still employed by some savages or uncultured people. The swastika. We know the way that the swastika is made. Symbolizes two people in the position of having a relations. That's what it was. Two people, a male and female, having relations in that position. It can't be any more graphic than that. We know that all symbols, when they become conventional or subject to decorative variations at the whims of artists, hence a decorative addition to a symbol does not give evidence as to the original deviation of the symbol itself. As we can see, the whims of artists using the masculine cross for placing upon it a man instead of the circle, a symbol of the sun, the male and female. The upright one is masculine and the vertical one is purely feminine. If we had the pictures, we could see the different variations of the cross. The cross as we see it today, with the bar up at the top, is purely masculine. When we see the picture of the cross, with the cross and the bar is down to the bottom of the bar symbolizes the female. And that was the time. Then we have another cross where the bar is completely at the base of the bar itself. These different crosses take on a different characteristic themselves. That is, we'll talk about them in future lessons. The crucifixion of Christ, Ra, and Virgin Mariam seeking her Lord is a symbol of the male and female. Is noticed that the union of a male and female is necessary to form a complete orgasm, capable of reproducing its kind. As Jesus was supposed to be with her, to be her only son. Paul put into words this knowledge when he said of the married couple, the two shall be one flesh, Ephesians 5th chapter, 31st verse. Among other symbols of the male and female, which have had religious significance, are the first and last letters, Alpha and Omega, of the Greek alphabet. The letter Alpha was not derived from the male genital organs, but from the Semitic letter Aleph, which represented pyramid and stuff was or is now, but they can't go no further than that. We're going to the depths of everything. Thanks to the Rasul. Peace be upon him. The form of the alpha as the male triangle and the form of omega obviously suggested the human male and female, whatever may have been their original deviation. The reference to these letters as the first and last comparts with the ancient legends of creation in which man was created first and woman last. Stay with me. From the book of the living. This was written back in 1983. Since creation is yet incomplete, there are on every land of the 4 continents, there are still hundreds of bisexual bodies walking the streets of the towns. The homosexuals are controlling female and males as well. There was one of the gods. There was one of the gods who gave birth to a son of himself. And that son headed the list of the cosmic minds and became the world's first prophet. She, that God was a man and woman at the same time. We speak about him in our prayers. Beloved of Amun-Ra. Who was beloved of Amun-Ra? Ptah. On that basis, I said,